In the opening scene, Dylan and his wife, Brenner, embark on a hiking adventure when Dylan poses the question of whether they should go left or right. Brenner suggests taking the left path, and as they proceed, an unexpected rain begins to fall. Spotting a nearby cottage, they decide to seek shelter until the rain subsides. The cozy atmosphere of the cabin allows them to enjoy each other's company and share some lighthearted moments. Curious about their surroundings, Brenner begins to explore the cottage. Venturing into another room, she stumbles upon a hidden compartment that, when opened, reveals a substantial cache of ammunition. Alarmed by her discovery, she quickly calls for Dylan to come and see what she has found. Concern washes over Dylan as he realizes the potential danger, prompting him to suggest they leave immediately. Just as they prepare to exit, Butch suddenly appears from the shadows and violently attacks them with the buttstock of his gun, rendering them both unconscious. When they regain consciousness, they find themselves tied up in a dimly lit room where Butch cruelly tortures Dylan while taunting his wife. In a moment of grim revelation, one of Butch's men informs him that Dylan is a police officer. Panic sets in for Butch as he seeks clarification, only to return to Dylan and express regret for his actions, admitting he had no idea of Dylan's true identity. In a shocking turn of events, Butch pulls out his gun and shoots both Dylan and Brenner, ordering his men to dispose of their bodies. They drag the lifeless forms to a large pit in the depths of the forest, where they unceremoniously bury them, leaving behind a chilling silence in the woods. The narrative transports us back a few days prior, where two dedicated officers, Dylan and Frank, are on a nighttime patrol in a remote area, intent on apprehending criminals who have eluded capture for 6 long years. As they approach the entrance of a suspicious building, weapons drawn, Dylan hesitates, suggesting they wait for backup. However, their resolve shifts abruptly when a piercing scream echoes from within. Instinctively, they illuminate the darkness with their flashlights and discover a woman lying helplessly on the floor. Driven by urgency, they conduct a thorough inspection of the premises. Suddenly, a masked assailant emerges and launches a surprise attack on Dylan. A fierce struggle ensues, culminating in Dylan managing to subdue his attacker. Yet, amidst the chaos, Dylan hears Frank's anguished cries and rushes to find him injured on the ground. In a moment of desperation, Dylan calls for backup once more, but the masked man strikes him again. This time, however, Dylan has reached his breaking point and retaliates with lethal force, ending the threat. The scene shifts to Dylan and his wife, Brenner Baker, as they drive together, seeking solace after the traumatic encounter. Following the attack, Dylan has been granted time off to recover from his injuries, and he has chosen to spend this precious time with Brenner. As they journey towards a much-needed vacation, an aggressive truck driver speeds past them, hurling derogatory comments about Brenner before overtaking them recklessly. The tension in the air is palpable, foreshadowing further challenges ahead. After a while, they pull into a cozy cafe to take a breather. While Dylan heads to the restroom to change the bandages on his wound, his wife Brenner settles at a table, preparing to enjoy a meal. It's at this moment that the same aggressive man from the truck reappears, intent on harassing Brenner once more. He inches closer, his presence oppressive. His name is Butch, and he embodies the very essence of a bully. Just as Dylan exits the restroom, he catches Butch hurling derogatory remarks at Brenner. Sensing the tension escalating, an older woman in the cafe intervenes, stepping between the two men and pulling them apart. She then addresses the couple, explaining that the locals are not accustomed to seeing couples like them and offering an apology on Butch's behalf. Grateful for her intervention, Dylan thanks her, but she insists he calls her mama, as everyone else does. After finishing their meal, the couple resumes their journey and discovers a serene spot in the woods to camp for the night. As they begin to settle in, a female police officer approaches Brenner. She warns her that the locals can be unwelcoming to outsiders and advises them to exercise extreme caution while camping in the area. The couple expresses their appreciation for her concern, and once she departs, they decide to continue their hike, setting stage for the unfolding of their story. The narrative shifts back to Dylan and Brenner, leading us into a poignant flashback of Brenner's rigorous training as an Army officer. This glimpse reveals her extraordinary resilience and strength, setting her apart from the ordinary. Fast forward to the present, we find Brenner awakening alone, the aftermath of chaos surrounding her. Miraculously, the bullet that struck her did not claim her life. Instead, it merely grazed her, leaving a painful scratch that bleeds. As she regains consciousness, her first instinct is to check on her husband. The gut-wrenching realization hits her hard: he is lifeless. With trembling hands, she tenderly covers his body with small branches, a gesture of love amidst tragedy. Returning to their makeshift camp, she is engulfed in grief, mourning the devastating loss of her partner. Consumed by guilt, she reflects on the fateful decision that led them astray, blaming herself for urging him to take a left turn that sealed his fate. In that moment of despair, a fierce determination ignites within her. She acknowledges the warrior she truly is and vows to exact vengeance for her husband's untimely death. Grabbing an axe with steely resolve, she sets out on a path of retribution. Meanwhile, we catch a glimpse of Butch as he returns to Mama's apartment, where he and his crew are preying on a vulnerable young woman. In a display of power and cruelty, Butch seizes her from behind, forcing an unwanted kiss upon her. Fear permeates the atmosphere as it becomes clear that Butch and his gang are notorious for kidnapping and exploiting innocent girls for their own sinister purposes. At this pivotal moment, Mama arrives with urgency, instructing Butch to eat quickly as she has an important task for him. Meanwhile, Brenner channels her pain into purpose, skillfully crafting a lethal weapon from wood, preparing herself for the vengeance that lies ahead. In a swift and decisive action,
Thinking isn't your
she takes down one of Butch's soldiers, her heart heavy with the weight of her actions. Despite the grim necessity of her mission, she conceals the body and melts into the shadows of the woods. Not long after, she encounters two more men and launches a surprise ambush. In a flurry of violence, she kills one and injures another, severing his foot but sparing his life. Instead, she watches coldly as he drags himself away in desperation, a testament to her conflicted nature. With a fierce resolve, Brenner ignites a fire that engulfs Butch's crucial cabin, culminating in a massive explosion that reverberates through the forest. Across the woods, Sheriff Hobbs grips his rifle tightly as he hears the blast, instinctively moving towards the source of the commotion. Simultaneously, Butch and Mama are jolted by the explosion. Butch's eyes widen in alarm as he spots smoke rising ominously near his cabin. Mama urges him to investigate without hesitation. As he navigates through the woods, he stumbles upon his injured friend, a victim of Brenner's wrath. Acting quickly, he lifts him into his truck and speeds away, unaware that Brenner is lurking in the shadows of his vehicle, waiting for her next move. When Butch finally returns to Mama, he bears the heavy burden of devastating news: several of their men have been killed. Mama, consumed by anger and concern, confronts Butch with fierce words and a sharp slap, blaming him for his reckless choices that led to such dire consequences. She commands him to immediately track down whoever is responsible. Mama has an extensive network at her disposal. She directs one of her tech-savvy associates to dig into the woman's background. As he conducts his search, Mama's expression shifts from frustration to shock when she learns that Brenner is not just any woman, she is a seasoned soldier with a military background. Meanwhile, Sheriff Hobbs ventures into the woods and stumbles upon the lifeless body of one of Butch's men. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, he quickly connects to the control room, reporting the discovery and requesting backup. In the forest, Brenner is already on high alert, meticulously setting traps for any intruders who might approach. Back at the scene of the body, Hobbs' men inform him that the deceased is one of Mama's operatives. One officer asserts that Mama wields complete control over the forest, orchestrating every event within its depths. Determined, Sheriff Hobbs expresses his desire to confront Mama without delay. Meanwhile, a female officer in the control room relays this urgent news to Mama. Sheriff Hobbs is en route to meet her. It becomes evident that the woman in question is also affiliated with Mama. In a tense meeting, Sheriff Hobbs and two officers confront Mama about the lifeless body they discovered in the jungle. Mama, however, deflects their inquiries, choosing not to disclose the troubles her men are facing in the wilderness. Instead, she adopts a victimized stance, insinuating that an unknown assailant is targeting her operatives. She further claims that the deceased had taken his own life. Although Sheriff Hobbs recognizes these assertions as fabrications, he remains silent, leaving with his men. That night, Mama and her crew mourn the loss of their comrade, their grief spilling over into reckless abandon as they drive through the darkness, shouting in anguish. In their intoxicated state, they eventually succumb to sleep right where they are. Butch awakens hours later, suffering from a severe hangover, and stumbles inside, oblivious to the fact that Brenner is lying in wait. She launches a fierce attack on him, leading to a brutal struggle between them. In a moment of vengeance for her husband, she ultimately slits his throat, watching as he gasps for breath before succumbing to death. The following morning, Brenner remains concealed, observing as one of Mama's men drags a girl into a room and locks her away. To her horror, Brenner realizes this is not an isolated incident. Numerous other girls are imprisoned alongside her. Filled with compassion for their plight, Brenner resolves to rescue them. Stealthily, she infiltrates the room and sets the captive girls free. The women are paralyzed with fear, and one of them lets out a piercing scream, drawing the attention of an armed guard who immediately opens fire. Tragically, one of the girls is struck and dies before Brenner can showcase her extraordinary skills, swiftly taking down the assailant with precision and flair. With resolve, Brenner then escapes into the forest, accompanied by a girl named Emily. Meanwhile, the news of Butch's death and the daring escape of Emily reaches Mama, leaving her in a state of utter disbelief and devastation. Consumed by rage and grief, she commands her men to locate the women and bring them back at any cost. She also enlists mercenaries for support, rallying her crew to prepare for a relentless hunt. In the depths of the forest, one of Mama's henchmen stumbles upon Brenner's hideout, only to fall victim to a deadly trap she had set. Just then, the man she had previously left behind reappears, but this time, Brenner is ready. She swiftly eliminates him without hesitation. Later that night, as Brenner and Emily sit together, they share a moment of camaraderie amid the chaos. Emily confides in Brenner about her pregnancy but voices her deep-seated fears about being caught by Mama and the unknown horrors that await her. Brenner reassures her with unwavering determination that she will protect her. Meanwhile, Hunk and his gang arrive, eager to assist Mama in her quest for vengeance. After receiving their orders, they venture into the forest with their hounds, determined to track down Brenner. The following morning, some members of the gang manage to capture Emily, but just in time, Brenner arrives on the scene and decisively takes them out, ensuring Emily's safety once more. Meanwhile, Sheriff Hobbs arrives on the scene, but chaos ensues as one of Hunk's men shoots him in the leg. Just as the assailant prepares to finish the sheriff off, Brenner spots him and swiftly eliminates the threat, saving Hobbs in the nick of time. Together, Brenner and Emily manage to get the wounded sheriff to a secure location. Brenner knows they must create a diversion, otherwise, their enemies will keep converging on this spot, complicating their efforts to escape. With a sense of urgency, they decide to leave their temporary refuge. As Brenner and Emily make their way along the creek, they encounter the same lady officer who previously warned them about the dangers in the area. Seeking her help, they approach her, and she advises them to get into her car for safety. Exhausted from their ordeal, they quickly fall asleep, but their respite is short-lived. Upon waking, they find themselves surrounded by Mama's soldiers. The lady officer has betrayed them, leading them right back into Mama's clutches. As Mama's men begin to torture them, Emily reveals her pregnancy with Butch's child, which prompts Mama to order her men to take Emily away for further questioning. Meanwhile, Brenner is tied up in a separate chamber, bracing herself for the torment that awaits. In a moment of bravery, Emily sneaks food to Brenner with a plan to help her escape. Seizing a knife, she kills the guard watching over Brenner and quickly frees her. Before they leave, Brenner grabs adrenaline from the first aid kit and instructs Emily to hide under the bed. Once prepared, Brenner enters the room where Mama's men are gathered and engages them in a fierce battle, taking them down one by one. Mama is taken aback by the sudden loss of her men. As she tries to flee, she hears Emily's muffled cries from her hiding spot. Just then, Hunk sneaks up behind Brenner with a gun aimed at her head, threatening her with a soldier's death, unaware that she has a weapon of her own, and swiftly eliminates him. In a desperate standoff, Mama holds a knife to Emily's throat, demanding that Brenner drop her firearm. In the chaos that follows, a man strikes Brenner from behind, allowing Mama to cut Emily's throat before escaping. Brenner manages to kill the man but arrives too late. Emily is already dead in her arms. 3 months later, Sheriff Hobbs received a call from Brenner, who informed him that she would need his assistance soon. However, she has temporarily stepped away to address some unresolved matters. Mama sits in her hideout garden with her remaining son when she receives a chilling message: "Judgment Day, bitch." In an instant, she is shot in the head, revealing Brenner hiding in the trees. With vengeance finally served for her husband's death, Brenner drives away as the film comes to a powerful close. Thanks for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more of these recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.